In life, you'll have to face decisions, like should I take this super addictive drug that'll break my psyche and turn me murderous, or spend time with this little girl and try to better myself? Well, we're here to answer that. Welcome to Katana Zero. Katana Zero opened with two characters talking about mysterious men in masks, before dropping you in medias res with Mr. Katana Zero deflecting a bullet and rushing towards an unknown goal. All the while teaching important abilities, intriguing and informative. We get a phone call on our way to fulfill our job. We can choose to hang up, but I decide to be polite and let them talk. This is our introduction to the dialogue system, a piece of gameplay integral to the storytelling. We do as we're told and we proceed to end the life of people who deserve it, no doubt. We're here to save the life of Dr. Coomer, PhD, but sadly due to a mild headache, he doesn't make it very far. This brutal case of cephalgia introduces us to V, main antagonist and overall dickhead. We make quick work of these morons through clever use of the insta-kill death switch. After a long day's work, Mr. Zero returns to his dump of an apartment to drink herbal tea and study the blade, watch the news while falling asleep. Truly a man of focus, and not a weeb in a bathrobe. Although Nat Terra seems to indicate that there's more than just a psychotic killer behind the surface. Mr. Zero takes great care of his mental health, and thus goes to therapy to talk about his night terrors while treating his psychiatrist kindly. No way being mean would backfire, right? We also get some happy juice and a file on who to kill next. Pretty outs his psychiatry, but hey, he's a doctor, I guess. Our next target is a billionaire, which is murder I can get behind. Sadly, that also means money for security. Surely this sign isn't ironically bugging out right now. We shut up the nice desk lady, talking about our love of anime and cosplaying. Little bit of small talk builds enough murderous energy to go wipe out an entire hotel's worth of life. Can't blame Mr. Zero on that one. Hoping to make it to the penthouse by elevator, we wait patiently, only to get a gun butt to the face and fucking shot at. Well, I guess it's time for the stairs. Cardio's important after all. We make our way up the stairs, putting enemies to sleep, and hear of strong Terry. Hope that pays off later. We finally reach the penthouse and peacefully introduce ourselves to our target, who seems to know more than he lets on. He then introduces himself to gravity, and I forget that lasers exist. I'm so fucking stupid. After finally getting to use the elevator, our small talk pays off by letting us spare one SWAT member's life. Thanks, front desk lady. While we're heading back home from work, we trip a small child and proceed to get bullied for being nice. Time for more nightmares. They're getting clearer though. What happened to Mr. Zero? Our psychiatrist helps us parse more of our past, although he seems too eager to give us an answer rather than let us think for ourselves. Surely he won't abuse his power over us. We then talk about the minor encounter we had with the child. Our handler is glad we aren't a gacha player and ends us a dossier alongside a dose of "no, I'm not addicted, I swear" drugs. It says not to talk to him. Surely we'll do as we're told. Ah fuck, it's a stealth section. I'm taking this time while I'm struggling to note how wonderful the music in this game is. It's been playing throughout the video and I wanted to give it a special mention. Anyways, after somehow making it past the short-sighted guards, we dispatch Strong Terry in a climactic fight and help his friend through grief. We get shot repeatedly before learning that rolling away from high-caliber bullets is effective and that smoke can block sight. Truly groundbreaking knowledge. We make our way through this incredibly elaborate and strangely large backstage area. We bust a union and finally reach DJ Electrohead. He appears to be tripping on bath salts as he explains that the drugs he stole has been letting him slow down time and repeat it. Well, that sounds familiar. Oh well. This party foul means we don't have to sneak anymore and thus make our way out no issue. Not even shot once. Mr. Zero gets home to be harassed by the youth again. Being a weary old man, done with her Gen Z bullshit, we let this unsupervised child into our home and play along with her until she decides to leave. We go to bed once more, hoping that tomorrow clears things up a bit. Another night, another nightmare. This time including throwing a child and mild injuries sustained through gunfire. Back to our psychologist handler, we ask just enough questions to get yelled at for not obeying. After being told to behave, Mr. Zero takes a stand and joins Dare, refusing to take the drug that gives him superpowers. Hey, good on him for staying clean. The psychiatrist is a dirty drug pusher and tells us to go away. Kinda mean for a mental health worker, but hey. Mr. Zero then has a normal one reading the new assignment. How the fuck do we even reach the target? Anyways, we do reach them and have a totally normal and sane interaction with some theater kid on the phone. We stealthily make our way through to find that someone else has done our job for us, which is pretty rude. We find that the body's still warm, at least the fun stealer's not far away. Neither of the cops. Oh well, time to make our way out the hard way. We get more theater talk before seeing Mr. Katana Zero walking home from work to be accosted by a slightly racist, homeless vet who we treat very ethically by only nearly stabbing him in the throat. Finally making it home, we're giving a home movie by a small child. Hey, sleepover time. The video opens with our partying neighbor talking about nonsense while smoking a fat one. Amen, brothers. A knock on the door leads to a knockout. Thankfully, we cut the video before we fully traumatize the small child, and we send her on her way. Mr. Zero resumes the video to find one of our neighbors getting the MK Ultra treatment, as V lets him take a hit of the slowdown drug, enacting some enhanced interrogation on him. At least this time the nightmares will make sense. Sadly, we found no one to soothe our woes, as it is the psychiatrist's day off. Well, time to walk home. A kind soul picks us up on our rainy trip. Hey, none other than V, Russian psychopath and movie connoisseur. He made that video for us out of admiration? That's sweet, I suppose. Anyways, we start being very honest on how we feel about his audiovisual creation. He beats up a passed out woman and does a line of coke, and asking us to murder his escort on camera. We calmly explain that we disagree with his point of view, and he gets real pissed off and chucks us out of his limo. Mr. Zero, being the ever-sane man, runs after a moving vehicle until the fucking sun comes down. V is understandably scared of a man capable of cutting a bullet mid-air, point-blank range, and flees like a little baby. We give chase and enter the I wanted to make a funny reference section of the game, where we go through Donkey Kong Country Revengeance, the MCU's reboot of the moon landing by Kubrick, and Kojima's true vision of PT. That pyramid had actually made me jump, by the way. Once the surprisingly high security door for studios open, we make our way through V's men and to V's backroom closet where he sits down on a producer chair with women. Hey, he's the one with the money. Zero gets his ass kicked long enough for the game to trigger a cutscene where the mysterious Snow attempts to stab us. Hey, that's my thing. And we just walk out after she threatens us. Works for me. Getting back home, we find out it's Halloween, and thus starts the cutest scene in this game. Our friend, the unnamed little girl, is dressed up as us, asking us for treats. Being a strange motherfucker, we only have a fish head to give her. Well, at least she's happy about it. We drink our tea, only to awaken to be completely paralyzed and unable to speak as two figures speak to us. Tragedy on our left, speaking to us in Shakespearean English, and comedy being a right ass about all of this. To cut a two-person monologue short, we have 3 days until they come again and force us to make a decision. Wonderful. They disappear when we wake up, but we seem to be slipping. Whatever drug we were taking is sorely missed by Mr. Zero's brain, as we jump from the psychiatrist's office to getting punched by V to what appears to be a future level that will repeatedly reset until our mind enters a cathedral. Mr. Zero walks slowly and calmly as he remembers what someone else told him. The music slows and starts to drone on and on, louder and louder, drowning Mr. Zero's thoughts. Not just the guilt, but the drug forcing him to relive through what he has done in the past. Forever. Now you're the beggar you had an altercation with, mocked by comedy and tragedy, telling you that without your drug, you're less than nothing. Your psychiatrist brutalized by your hand, until finally, you return to reality thanks to another hit of the drug, and we're sent on our next mission, dossier in hand. We arrive back at the start of our journey, somewhere in the city, approaching a manor. Still thinking on what we just witnessed, we do the only thing we truly know how to do, and advanced to Al-Qasim, a big-shot R&D corporate head that was important to the war effort. We drop in on our friend and send him fleeing, before entering a series of rooms that we've never been to yet feels so familiar. We kill the power to make it through and now have the advantage of stealth and a fucking flamethrower. Let's go! Don't worry about the man in the tank. I'm sure it's nothing. We reenact Vietnam for a bit. Wink. Before getting jumped and captured by V and his dripped out goon, Mr. Kissyface. V tortures us and kills us repeatedly, until the information we gather from the other timelines makes V understand that Mr. Zero is nothing more than a Chronos junkie. Despite that, he wants nothing more than our approval, so we taunt and insult him until he kills the person he was truly there to extract, Al-Qasim. Our job done, and his failed, V walks out to the 2nd district, to be hunted down later, I suppose. For now it's Mr. Kissyface time, and he's an incredibly fun boss battle that took me a while to figure out, not gonna lie, forcing us to parry, roll, and be aware of our surroundings until we shatter his axe handle and deal him a fatal flourish. A dignified end to a good opponent. Outside of the manor, V and the mysterious Snow are talking, V being berated by Snow for his senseless murder, but proud that he killed Mr. Zero, someone she calls a null. More questions as to who Mr. Zero truly was. Oh, and before that she calls us a psychopath with no emotions while cutting out foe after foe. Not very cool, lady. We jump onto a motorcycle and enter the least engaging non-boss fight of the whole game. So we're skipping over this until we catch up to V, who boarded an helicopter in the meantime. Man, this dude's got a budget, I'll give him that. Thus entering a fairly fun fight of dodging enough missiles to rival One Day in Yemen. As we cut V for getting overly cocky, he feels the effect quite hard and lands on his face onto asphalt, and very close to our blade, but he still talks shit and taunts us, claiming that he's killed 6 people like us. Nulls. Also, he has an affinity for cleaning supplies. Sensing his death is coming, he calls himself the Dragon Slayer, but much to everyone involved's surprise, someone steals our kill, the real dragon whom V seems to share an interest with. Mr. Zero just fucks off, wise enough not to get stabbed yet. We get berated by our psychiatrist who tells us to go home, which we don't do, instead going to what looks like a basement speakeasy to drink an awful day away. This is where the Vietnam parallel gets on full blast, with the least racist veterans in New Mecca talk about the truth of the Cro-Mag War. Those goddamn hippies whining about child killings and Agent Orange still leaves a considerable damage on the population, but also the government employed psychics and mind control drugs. Good to see Fox has a branch in New Mecca. He also tells us about some drugs that help Death Squad see the future. I never heard of that. More drinking fucks up our perception of time until we stumble home to the little girl waiting by our door. Tries to talk to us, but we're too shit-faced to be able to understand what she's saying, and we pass out by the counter in our house. Reminds me of college, really. In the morning, we wake up to the girl worried that she did something wrong. This kid's clearly seen some shit, and looks to us for some peace. She tells us her dad got in trouble with some friends and she hid under the stairs. Since she hasn't eaten anything last night, we look around and find some protein paste. This girl's gonna have some gain while we go to work. Our routine checkup gets interrupted by a vision of armless V, taunting us with the reality of what will happen to Mr. Zero. No more Chronos and you're stuck in your own mind, your brain throwing your worst nightmares at you for the rest of time. The tape he sent us itself wasn't horrifying, but the implication that those people are stuck there forever, being tortured, begging for a release that will never come is chilling. Thankfully, the psychiatrist pulls us back to reality with a dose of Chronos, though I don't think there's any solace to be found in that fact. We get berated for our antics of yesterday, before we explain that we aren't the dragon, describe our blonde friend, and get set on our way to kill them. That'll be fun and easy, I'm sure. Time to hit the casino, I suppose. When you're a hyper-aware, precognizant samurai, gambling your way into the VIP section is basically safe scumming until you have enough money to make it past Larry the Lenient. Thanks, Larry. In the back rooms we meet a new face, well, mask rather. Another null, it seems, a war-weary, Chronos-deprived null. A threat nonetheless. We learn that V's dead and that his employers are working to bring back Chronos. Nothing good could come from that. We fight this new null and they seem worried that we too control time. They choose to flee and get us trapped by the police. We pick up a tape that will be useful for later, and find that there's no easy way out this time. Oh well, roll it. We almost make it out of Chinatown before we're put in a completely unwinnable situation. Now does tragedy and comedy come knocking. Their promise to be fulfilled. Life or death, Mr. Zero. This choice affects more than just us, the little girl, these officers, all the people we will have to go through to get answers. Maybe finally putting down the blade and seeing our final death as best. We choose to don the golden mask of life and finally rest. The credits roll, quiet and somber. Maybe this is for the best. But sadly we have unfinished business to attend to. We don the silver mask of death. Our enemies fall at our feet and we flee the scene. Things are coming ahead. Hope this was right. Some solace is found in the girl. She cleaned our mess of an apartment while we were gone. We go out to find something to watch, but don't bring any cartoon. We watch some gory samurai movies. Great dad we are. Until she falls asleep, we can finally watch the tape we found in Chinatown. It's the dragon breaking into the prison before Mr. Zero and making their way through security like butter. This part is incredibly fun and really hard, the dash ability being quite odd but very stylish. That last string took me 15 minutes. The dragon gets to Fayoan and questions him about who's bringing Kronos back. He doesn't know anything other than Al-Qasim and a man named Leon. For not being useful enough to our blonde friend, he gets drowned. Well, that was informative and teaches us how strong the dragon is. Another day, another psychiatrist visit. Although a call on our way there tells us to go to the slaughterhouse to find Leon von Halvensleben, the man who made Kronos. Well, that beats getting berated by the psychiatrist, I guess. Going down the filthy, disgusting corridors, we enter a chamber with massive screens, and someone we can presume to be Leon. He tells us that this was the testing ground for the Null Project, and that we will now be tested before shooting at us with a sniper. Fucking alright then. We make our way through this hard as shit gauntlet of conveyor belt, meat presses, sniper fire, before entering the next chamber, where Leon tells us that this part has an incredibly high failure rate. Good thing we are incredible gamers, totally no issue. After making it through by the skin of our teeth, we're greeted with Leon, who tells us that we should have been gods on the battlefield and won the Chromag War. But Kronos was a failure, and that we should turn back now. We don't heed his words, finding his backroom looking office. We learn that all the messages were taped before, and are instructed not to open the cryopod. So, of course, out of the pod pops out Leon. Sadly, time catches up with him and he turns to dust. Now our good riddance. On our way home, we get berated by our psychiatrist for not coming in, and the murder of like multiple squadrons of cops, I suppose. Thankfully, our young friend is a light in the dark, asking us to come up to the roof to enjoy this game's beautiful fucking art style, man. We have a heart-to-heart with her, telling her that one day we'll make it out of this awful city. Mr. Zero's no longer fighting for the idea of himself as a hero. But for a kid he wants to see happy. Respite before the storm. Well earned after the slaughterhouse. We wake up from another nightmare and are greeted by our friend's sweet cooking, which is basically impossible to keep down. But hey, she tried. And she's giving us Behemoth as a keepsake. Sadly, we have an appointment, which is us getting yelled at for fucking up, killing cops and not following orders. Jokes on this crimson-suited ass, we know about the nulls now. We press on the questions, learning that we were taken as a child for our aggressive and psychotic behavior, to be trained as a gamma null, A kill squad hopped up on Chronos, a time shift in drugs. Sadly, withdrawal means near instant death. Our coordinator tells us that we're killing Chronos-related people to avoid its return into the world, and that we'll live the rest of our life with the amount left. But that's not true. We've been killing Chronos people. We'll be dead the minute we're no longer useful. He hears us that he doesn't want it to happen, gives us a hint, and says us to clear out a bunker. At least we get to meet up with that nice receptionist again, who seems to be into us and asks us to watch anime with her. Well, shame about our job of killing people, eh? She lets us in for being nice, and we go down the bunker, systematically slashing, cutting, and generally maiming fools. Thankfully, we are a capable contract killer, with magic drug in our vein. We also walk past people stuck in cryotubes with machines stuck through their eyes. Oh boy. Quick aside, I like that the music gets fucked up and distorted in this part. Nice touch. But hey, back to killing, stabbing, removal of blood from bodies, and various other maiming techniques. Before we get jumped by a guy wearing a suicide vest. Hey, it works. That knocks us out and brings us back to the hut, where a man in a green outfit shoots the scientist and starts fucking with the machine. This memory is getting clearer and clearer. I don't like that. No matter, we jump down the elevator shafts, continuing our ever deeper motion towards the core of the earth, it seems. Before we hit the core, we reach a very ornate room, with a gun sitting there, but in a very subversive twist. It's just a throwing item like any other. Once the distraction is dealt with, we reach a headhuntress, guarding big, important-looking servers. We stab her a few times, she shoots out lasers at us a few times. But after a while, the floor gives way to a final confrontation. Headhuntress is a null too, addicted to Chronos just like you, but there isn't any here. And there's not enough left for the both of us. She realizes we just enjoy killing, because that's the only time we feel that we can reach death, something we're removed from. She understands that it's a battle of will more than a blood-for-blood duel. She's suffering from withdrawals. The vision of our blade killing her has been repeating in her mind so much that she can't even feel the pain anymore. She's so desperate she'll drink the Chronos out of her blood to keep going. It has to be this way. She'll hunt down those that made us like this, that made the null, and make them pay. What comes next is both a wonderful boss, with a duel of everything we've learned, dodging, positioning, timing, and a masterful use of ludonarrative, where each death triggers a little piece of dialogue, or just resets us to the start of the dialogue, putting us in Mr. Zero's shoes. But in the end, stronger mind prevails, and we use our head to open the vault. That's when reality, or our perception of it, completely collapses. We are suggested to kill a child who doesn't exist. The only thing in front of us is a crying family. The suggestion is so overwhelming, it fills the screen and we barely manage to run away. Multiple images flashing in our mind. And of fucking course, we get berated for not killing innocents. When we come back to the psych office, our friend is packing up to leave. Seems he's being targeted too. But the withdrawal and his bullying pushes us over the edge, beating him to the ground. First with our fist, then with the rock that was on his desk, turning his breath into mush on the floor. Once the bloodlust somewhat stops, we grab the syringes and shoot up until the buzzing in our head stops. We learn that there's a shipment of Chronos soon, and that we're the next target. We learn that our neighbor's dead and that our place got trashed, but most importantly, the girl's been taken. Or, she never existed? As the cop and landlady said that there are no children in the 3rd district. We run away as they try to arrest us. We flash back to 7 years ago and the truth of what happened in that cabin. Zero's not the kid. They're the person who shot the man in white, destroyed the computer, and walked away. 15, the dragon, was our squad mate. We were the aggressors in the Chromac War. Zero's never been a hero. As the credits roll, we see Snow talk to what seems to be New Mecha Elite. She's telling them about 15. The figure tells them that they'll have to fight the government. Hey, maybe they're good. The last thing we see is the Pole girl being mistreated by comedy and tragedy. This game fucking ruled. I was so infatuated by it that I decided to make this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe. I'm gonna be trying to make more of these, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Goodbye.